Hello viewers, my name is Hilda. It's so good to be here again. Let me start by asking you, have you ever heard about or read at some point in time any of the following books? A1 in English, A to Z of JAM's English, The Invisible Teacher of JAM's Use of English, 1000 Rules of English, and so on. These books and many others have been written by Professor Bamidele Ashade, Nigeria's leading authority on applied linguistics, who specializes in morphosyntax and grammar of modern English and teaching of English to speakers of other languages. TESOL. He is my guest this morning. Prof, welcome and thank you for coming. We would like to go on a short break. When we come back, we will start the ball rolling. Thank you viewers for staying with us. Prof, welcome and thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here this morning.
Let's get the ball rolling. Certainly, the education sector presents a good business investment environment in Nigeria and around the world. As a notable educationist, author, and book publisher, which specific investment area of education do you recommend if great financial profits must be made?
Oh, yes. Thank you for that question. But it sounds a little funny. Funny in the sense that we are talking about education. The very first thing that we should think about before talking about profit or great profit is how we can be involved in scaffolding others, in bringing them up, in building them up psychologically, psychosocially, intellectually, economically, morally, in all areas, to develop them. That is the very first focus of people who are into education or education business. But I can assure anyone who goes into education business that there is automatic profit waiting for that one when he or she goes into educational investment. But all I'm trying to say is that it's important to put behind our minds that making profit is not the focus of anyone going into educational business. Nonetheless, great big profits are waiting for anyone who goes into the business of education.
You have just spoken about what you consider a dependable money spinning business, an investment window in the book publishing sector. What is this investment idea? I mean, could you explain to prospective investors?
Yeah, the idea of the business that I have in mind, investment in education, according to your question, is publishing. When we talk about publishing, we're talking about, writing, processing these books or processing these manuscripts into forms that will appear in book forms for public reading, public use, public consumption. We have different types of publishing: general educational, general publishing. That hasn't anything to do with education in the schools. The second one, you have educational book publishing. This one is the one I want to talk about. So I don't want to look at the others this morning, because particularly want to look at publishing educational books. And that's the idea I have. According to your question, when we talk about investing in education. So we want to invest in the printing, publishing, and sale of educational books.
So if I got you right, your organization, which is a book writing and editing compendium, has many manuscripts written by you and your associates and waiting to be published into educational school books for sales to schools and students within Nigeria and abroad, what educational levels are the books and manuscripts meant for? I mean, specifically.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the question. These manuscripts have been written by us, my colleagues and I. We have sat down, we have a compendium of a book writing compendium and an editing COI where we write books copiously. We write educational books in particular. You want to know the level of students that these books are meant for? Yes, it's quite important. We write for primary school pupils, primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We write for junior secondary school students. We write for senior secondary school students. We write for the post-secondary level of learners. For example, those who want to sit for public examinations like the General Certificate of Education. We write for people who sit for the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examinations, UTME. We write for those who want to gain admission into different tertiary institutions. We leave that level, we go up a little and write for undergraduates and graduate students, known in Nigeria as postgraduate students. These are the scopes of our writing engagement.
Is it possible for a person legally to become an author without having written anything? Could you be more specific?
Oh, yes. You are asking if someone who hasn't written anything could become an author. She hasn't written anything at all. Or could he or she become an author? I will not answer that question straight away, but I'll ask a question instead. I'll ask, can someone who doesn't have a child of his or her own become a father or a mother legally? Yes, all of us know that if you process the adoption of a child from an orphanage, for example, and you follow the due process, you can become the father of such an adopted child legally. That one will bear your name. If you name him Chris, for example, and the surname could be your name because technically he belongs to you. It's in the same way. If children that are even more precious than book manuscripts could be adopted, then manuscripts could also be adopted by people who have never written anything at all. We call that ghost writing in our profession. Ghost writing. So you could, or anyone who desires it, could ask a writer, writing compendium, or a group of people or specialists to write for them. So in this case, what we do is we have a great number of manuscripts already written, but let me point it out that we write only English language books. English language books for primary schools, for secondary schools, for the post-secondary level, for the university or tertiary level students. English language books. Yes, these are the scopes of our writing.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. We'll go on a short break. See you. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. Whose name will be on the adopted manuscripts and published books? And who will be the copyright owner?
Oh, yes. How does he become the legal owner? Well, the first thing to do is to approach us and show interest in a particular manuscript, maybe for primary 1 to primary 6, or from GSS 1 to GSS 3, or from SS1 to SS3, or just anyone that is a general book that is not recommended book, or a book that is recommended by any school or institution. So as we have those books or manuscripts that are meant for schools, that schools usually recommend for their pupils, we have those that are not recommended for pupils at all. But in our experience, we have found out that books that are educational by classification are a great deal better than those that have the general audience. For example, you have literature books, church or religious literature. No one is asking students or pupils to buy that. If you want to read them, you could go to the bookshop and buy. But educational books are such books that must be bought by parents and students who go to school compulsorily. The Ministry of Education, the individual school authorities recommend these books, put them on their list of books, and then ask them to buy. This means that a school could buy 500 copies, 400 copies, and then imagine how many number of schools you have in your locality alone, not to talk about those schools in the nation at large. You have thousands of schools that are ready to read your book. Once you adopt a manuscript from us, that manuscript will be written or published with your name on it. Unless perhaps you say you don't want that. You want the name of the compendium of writers to be on the book. But if you so desire, as anyone who adopts a child from an orphanage would desire to have the name of the child, surnamed after him or her. So also, do you have the opportunity to say, well, I want this manuscript that I am adopting to be published in my name, and it becomes my property forever. And that's it.
What should anyone having further inquiries or who is interested in adopting any books from your compendium do to actualize this great dream of first educating the society and second making steady money at the same time? What is the step-by-step procedure?
Why not? We have the responsibility to support you to succeed. Once you adopt a manuscript or a set of manuscripts from our compendium, you might want to publish this on your own. You have all the liberty to do that. You have all the freedom to do that. But if you want some kind of support, then we will talk about that, and then we go about doing that for you, setting your publishing company up, letting you know what is involved. And these are very simple things. The most important is to get this adopted manuscript, the one you have adopted, published into book form, and then you contact those who are ready to buy. And I can assure you, all over the nation, even outside Nigeria, there are schools, thousands of schools with millions of pupils and students that are ready to, actually waiting to buy your books once you have published them.
Prof, could your organization help anyone who adopts a manuscript from you to start the first production and establish a publishing company for them?
Yes, we also help you to acquire the International Standard Book Number, ISBN. In fact, everything that has to do with starting you off on a platform of steadiness and readiness for operating as a profitable publishing organization will do that.
How far do the manuscripts and books you are offering to investors comply with international standards and national directives on school curriculum and syllabus contents?
Oh, you want to know if our books compare with internationally written books? Well, yes, thank you. First, let me say that the National Educational Research and Development Council, NERDC, is the organization that has responsibility for overseeing the syllabus, the curriculum, content of learning in schools in Nigeria, and they are doing a great job. So there are guidelines for primary 1 books in English, primary 2, primary 3, and so on. I want to assure you that all the guidelines of the National Educational Research and Development Council have been fulfilled in every one of the books or of the manuscripts that we have written. But the good news is that we have even surpassed that. Every requirement of the NERDC has been surpassed by the contents of our own books. For example, if Unit 1 for Primary 4 by the NERDC standard says you should have 5 sections. For example, you have vocabulary, then you should have structure, otherwise known as grammar. You should have comprehension, you should have spelling, or you should have phrasal verbs. We have gone beyond the 5 to add 4 more. For example, common mistakes in English, everyday chunks in English. We have different other areas that are added to every the syllabus of every class to ensure that leave Nigeria, go to Ghana, look at their curriculum. Whatever we write here still fits into any guideline framework for any country in Africa, in Anglophone Africa. Even going outside Africa, the books or the manuscripts are very, very relevant in that it is all-encompassing and it has everything that may be required by the government authorities in charge of regulating the syllabus, giving guidelines about the contents of books.
We understand that Daily Ashad is a popular name with students, schools, and bookshops throughout Nigeria and in countries like Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Gambia, China, the United Kingdom. Why do you think that Nigerians especially are dying to buy your books? I mean, almost all the books written by you.
Oh, why Nigerian students like my books? Well, I'll first thank God and say glory to God. It's God who has made it so. We discovered, writing a book involves first having to look at what the needs of the particular target of learners or students will be. In our own case, we based our writing on research findings. We are also researchers. We also look for the findings of fellow researchers who have found out what works and what doesn't work. Our research work doesn't end with that. We now convert what they have discovered in their research to books. So you find that whatsoever we put in the pages of our books are the exact things that research has found to be beneficial and workable for successful learning of such categories of learners. So it's a lot of work, but we thank God who has helped us to be able to go through the process of research, putting the findings together and then writing them out. Above all, we, look at this subject, the English language, from the point of view of native speakers. We want them to be able to speak close to native speakers. So we bring, skills that are used, the methods, the words, the phrases, the sentences, the structures, that English native speakers use. We bring them and then deposit them. We are able to lay hands on this because by the grace of God, we have had interactive relationship with them out there, and then we look at how these things could benefit them. They are experienced. People who write books in our compendium are experienced. They are also exposed to the Western world. They have been to Canada, been to America, lived in Europe, lived in Australia, and other places like that. So you could expect that they will bring a great deal of, elements that will reflect English native speakers, speech attitude into their writing. And for those who have been following and reading our books, A1 English is one of them, a complete SSE text. A to Z of Gems of English is another one. The Invisible Teacher is another one. 1,000 Rules of English is another one. You have books, English, you have a great many of them that are also on market. So I want to thank school principals, teachers who have always recommended our books as good books.
What categories of people could consider taking this up as a suitable investment, career, or as a business?
It's a very simple thing. Are you an NYSC member who is preparing to, get out of the NYSC program, and you are thinking about what to do? Come on, this is a great idea for you. You could become the managing director of a publishing company. Once you adopt a set of manuscripts from us, you begin to print and publish and begin to sell. So as simple as that. NYSC members, businessmen and women, Nigerians or non-Nigerians in the diaspora, you have a great many Nigerians who already read A1 English, The Invisible Teacher, A to Z, and other books from our compendium, from this author. They know that they could also publish other books written by the same author. So if you're in America, Australia, Canada, anywhere you are around the world, you could adopt a manuscript from us, and then you set up a COI here in Nigeria or anywhere of your choice, because the books are usually multi-territorially applicable. In other words, you could establish or use them or send them to schools or sell them or deal commercially with them in schools around the world. But maybe you want to hand it over to someone, you know how to do it. So NYSC members, people in the diaspora, businessmen and women, anyone who wants to have profits on investment that will last long, that will be regular. That's quite important. It's not something you have this year, you don't have it next year. It's regular, it's consistent. Yes.
What is the assurance that if I adopt a manuscript or a set of manuscripts from your organization, I will make huge profits from the textbooks published in a short while?
You want us to give you an assurance of sale? We will not give that, because tomorrow belongs to God. All we want to say or do is to let you know that good bush needs a good wine needs no bush, rather. If something is good, it will advertise itself. So if you take up or adopt a manuscript from our compendium, thousands of students are waiting to buy your books because they would be recommended by their schools and put on their list of books. Many hundreds of thousands of schools are out there in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, Liberia, in Francophone Africa generally. Outside Africa, they are waiting. Especially in Nigeria, you have millions, you have thousands of bookshops. Of course, if we give you an assurance that your book, the one that you adopt from us and begin to publish, will sell, it's just an understatement. You know that this is the truth. So yeah, that's it.
What should anyone having further inquiries or who is interested in adopting any books from your compendium do to actualize this great dream of first educating the society and second making steady money at the same time? What is the step-by-step procedure?
Okay, what is the step-by-step approach if you are interested? That's a good question. The first thing is to determine what category of books, the level. Is it, I want English language books, primary 1 to primary 6. I want English language books, GSS 1 to GSS 3, or SS 1 to SS 3, or for tertiary examination, tertiary entrance examination, like books for JAMB, for NDA, for, or you want books for tertiary education, for undergraduates or for graduate students who are studying English. First thing. 2, you could contact us and let us know what you want. In which case, we will let you know how to, very simple steps towards adopting a book. Once you adopt the book, you could bring on your attorney or your lawyer, as the case may be, to perfect all the transaction for you legally, so that your mind could be at rest. Organizations, individuals, people who have done that in the past with us have brought their lawyers. Some have come individually to do the transaction. It doesn't matter. You are in good hands. You are in safe hands, in the sense that you are buying or you are adopting original manuscripts that will be published in your own name as the author. And you can stand by it anytime, anywhere, because the copyright is going to be given to you. The copyright belongs to you. The writers, the authors don't have anything to do with such manuscripts once they are ceded to you, once they are given to you or you adopt them. Okay. Yes. So the procedure is to contact us. Once you adopt the books, you just start printing. Once you print, there are schools that are already waiting for you. You just let them know this book is available. They say, bring them on. Once they see the names of the writers, it could be an impetus for them to ask for, you to supply the books. And I can assure you that many thousands of schools are waiting for um, you to come over, and they will gladly uh, adopt your books, list them, and then you begin to print and sell to them in hundreds of thousands of copies. Every year, you are not going to be restricted, and that's the step. So, our address or contact is will be given to you perhaps at the end of this program, so you could always contact us.
Final advice to prospective investors. What would you say to them?
My final advice is that people may want to begin to invest in those things that are real and not ephemeral, things that will not continue, things that appear today and fizzle out tomorrow. They want to protect their investment. You want to put your money where you have a guarantee of continuity, of sure commercial benefits and profits every year until Jesus Christ will come. This business will continue to work for you. So I want to encourage parents who have children on the NYSC program, people who are looking for investments into which they want to put their highly valued and hard-earned money, to look in the direction of publishing educational books.
Interested investors who want to adopt any of these books or manuscripts may contact them with the address on the screen. Thank you, Prof, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. We have come to the end of the interview. Once again, my name is Ilda. Bye.